Peace and blessings. Vibe Tribe is on once again. It's going up in the building. EY Pele Movement. EY Pele Movement. We're a ministry where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. Hopefully, everybody weekend has been going well. We definitely have had a wonderful weekend. My wife and I, we do date weekend every weekend. You know, you have to keep the fire kindled in your relationship. And my queen and I, we go out every single weekend and make sure that we enjoy one another's company. Well, family, it is on the day. This is your Ancestor Veneration Part 2, all right, of the Ancestor series that my wife and I, we started together. She kicked it off. If you want to go check out the other parts, please go to the live tab on YouTube, okay? Because they have it blocked off now. So you should be able to see that live tab there. And just click on that live tab, and all of the live videos that we do are there in that log, okay? So this is going to be a very powerful session. This is entitled that we don't worship our ancestors, okay? We don't worship our ancestors. We want to make this very clear. Unfortunately, there's an attack which has been going on for centuries in regards to our spirituality, all right? And so what we want to do is debunk the lies, okay, that have been told about our spiritual system, all right? We want to be able to share with you the truths, okay, as practitioners of the faith, okay, having people who have been initiated, okay, in the faith, all right, in the spiritual system, okay, that we entitled E5, okay, that we call E5, okay. So that's what my wife and I, we subscribe to. That's not our overall system. Okay, let's be clear. We're spiritual people. We just simply subscribe to wisdom. We follow after wisdom. Hey, what's going on, daughter? How you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate that. So what we want to do is we're going to do a very good presentation for you on today. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a presentation with just the breakdown of what ancestor is in the Yoruba tongue, a Gugun. Okay, dealing with a Sheshe, which is the traditional way of practicing Ifa. Okay, it's the wisdom of the ancestor that has been passed down, okay, to us that we must go by. All right, and I'm going to enlarge this here so you can see it. All right, but before we do that, we're going to go on a short commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to kick it off. Listen, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be good. I promise you. You know, I'm going to show you some breakdance moves. I'm going to show you how, you know, things come to us from our ancestors in our DNA. I'm going to show you a video of the traditional system over in Africa. Okay, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be good. And today we're going to deal with how to set up your altar, okay, for you to be able to venerate, okay, not worship your ancestors, but to honor your ancestors, okay? But we're going to dive into that as soon as we come back off of this short commercial break here, all right? Okay, make sure you hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and invite. Okay, so we get ready to kick it off. As I spoke to you before, okay, we do our studies. Okay, we got a book called the Sheshe book, and it's a Sheshe spirituality workbook, the ancestors' wisdom of the Ifa Orisha tradition. Okay, all right, so we're going to break it down real quick about what, you know, a gungun is. Okay, ancestors in the Ifa tradition are called the gungun. All right, Egun refers to individual ancestors, but literally means bone. Okay, so you know how we say when somebody get married, some people say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Okay, you know, we're one. That means that you're one. Okay, you can't be separated. All right. Some of us even have some mannerisms of our parents, right? Uh, Even though they're still here with us, if you pay close attention, okay, some of us, for myself, right? My Baba, he's an ancestor right now. All right, but before my Baba transition, my Baba, he loved martial arts. So do I. My Baba loved to dress. So do I. You know, so those are some things that I got from my Baba. My mother, she loved to dance. So do I. You know, so those are some things that you inherit from your parents. You understand? Like even the way I laugh, according to my grandmother, who's an ancestor now, peace and blessings be upon her. My grandmother Hattie Majuba Gungun. Okay, that's praises be unto our Gungun, giving honor to my ancestor, right? You know, she told me my father and I, we walk alike, we talk alike, we laugh alike, our hands are alike. You understand? You know, so there's things in us that we get from our ancestors. So moving on, it says Agungun refers to the collective or community ancestors. This term expresses a larger or more expansive group. Agungun is also considered an Orisha. All right. So, you know, some people like to say Orisha are gods, but the truth of the matter is they don't consider them to be gods. All right. It's just like the Neteru. People call the Neteru gods, but it's not really gods. You know, they're forces, you know, in the nature. You understand? You know, so you know, in our tongue, they don't use that word. Right. So when you deal with different languages in the African tongue, this is why I encourage for those of you who really want to embrace African culture, it's imperative that you get in touch with the natives. Okay. Before I did this presentation, I spoke to my friend directly from Nigeria, okay, who was raised up around the Ifa culture. All right. So I don't get my information from Google. All right. I'm not knocking people, you know, but I personally, because a lot of it is incorrect. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. And some people they mispronounce the words and things of this nature. So that's why it's important to go to source, go to the root, okay, go to the beginning. And this is why we can't listen to people who are religious when it comes to our cultural systems, because they try to debunk it, they try to overthrow it, they demonize it. You understand? They're never going to tell you the truth about our spiritual system. All right, because their job is to, the colonizer job is to cut us off from who and what we are and to mentally incarcerate us. All right, so that's just the bottom line. All right, let's get into this. These are just some categories of ancestors, but not limited to. Okay. Agungun Baba refers to the father's line. Agungun Yeye refers to the mother line. Okay. Agungun Olagun refers to the ancestral warriors in the family. Okay. Agungun Orisha refers to the ancestral priest of an Orisha or the original ancestor that became an Orisha. Okay, so for some of us in our families, we have certain mannerisms that is in our DNA that's passed down, as we talked about before earlier, right? And so I'm bringing this up because I'm getting ready to play a clip and show you breakdancing and show you where it comes from over in Africa. So just hold on, buckle your seats. Okay, we getting ready to dive in. Queen, before I do you got anything you want to say, you want to touch on before we get to the video clips?
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, family, I want you to pay close attention to these moves that he doing. Now the lesson is getting ready to begin.
Babonelli is not just a dance, but also a dance of the spirit. But today we see that the American people and the hip hop culture, popularly known as the B-boys, use these dance moves regularly without even knowing the origin of the dance. Most times it is used in breakdancing and other dance performance. Hello friends and family, we're back again with a brand new edition. I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers. If today's your first time joining us in this platform, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and like. Also turn on your notifications so each time I post a new content you can get notified. Today we're going to be talking about the Esa acrobatic dance of Edo State, Nigeria, popularly known as the Igbabonelli. Igbabonelli is originally from the Esan people of Edo State, Nigeria. It is a dance of the spirits and also the best traditional dance in the world today. When spirits commune, they do it differently from humans, which is why the invention still baffles people till today. Moreover, in Asa land, hunters are seen as privileged individuals because of the oddly hours they spend in the deep of nights and forests. For these same reasons, the famous dance Igbabonelimi was discovered by hunters in the den of the night. According to one of the hunters, they saw a group of entities or group of spirits performing the dance in the open field in the forest. And they quickly rushed back in the morning to the villagers and told them what they have saw. And they taught the dance moves to the people in the village, and it remained their traditional dance till date. Igbabonelimi is a combination of two words, Igbabo, which means clap, Elimi, which means spirit. So therefore, the combination means to clap hands or to communicate with the spirits. There are different clans in the Esan villages, so the day and the procedure in which the dances are made or done varies. These tribal clans can be seen on feast days of performances, but under normal circumstances, Igbabonelimi is danced every 2 weeks of the Esa calendar and on the market days of the various villages and towns that make up Esa. And also, Igbabonelimi could be danced annually to mark the end of the year celebrations, New Yam festivals, and organized social functions like the coronation of a new king. Additionally, Igbabonelimi operates in various villages as a social cult. It has its own regulations, rules, and taboos. What this means, in essence, is that it is operated in secrecy. Dancers and characters who performed are seen to have come from the spirit world, and they are viewed as such, especially by non-initiates. The non-initiates are basically women and children. To be initiated into this cult of the Babonelimi, you have to reach a certain age. Then they will be tested to see if they are capable of resisting temptation of exposing the secrets behind the Babonelimi. It is seen as an abomination when an Elimi talks in public, which is the dancer, because no human knows how the spirits commune, let alone understand the language of the spirit.
All right, family, I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis on that to give you a backdrop of it. I know some of you who used to party or still party.
Party hardy.
If you notice that he talked about the gathering, the social gathering, and they gathered together to what? To dance, to celebrate. Okay, what do we do? And when it's a wedding, we dance. What do we do when somebody graduate? We come together, we have a party for some, who do that. But basically, we have a festivity. We dance, we celebrate. So a lot of these things comes from our actual culture. All right. Now, what we get ready to do is we get ready to go into the ancestor altar. Okay. For those who have inquired and wondered, what to do. Now, I want you to fully understand that this is not the only way you can set up your ancestor altar. Okay, I want to be very, very, very clear on that, because when you're dealing with different ethnic groups, what you'll come to find is that
Spirits. Instead, the spirit dancers, which is also known as Elimi,
Peace.
all right, fam. I'm trying to get this thing set up real quick. Get switch it to the other video, but it's all good. We're going to get through it. We're going to get to it.
Money. So I'm going to take you from the whole process from an empty table to having a full altar, full functioning altar. So I've made videos in the past separating them. So if you want to know how to make an altar, you can look up how to make an ancestor altar, how to burn ancestor money. All these videos are available for you on YouTube if you Google my name, S. Ali Myers. So you're here because you want to set up an ancestor altar, but you may not know how to do it, or more people, what I notice is they overthink building an altar. Altar is very simple. So from this point, I'm going to go through it. I suggest that you watch it, take notes, review it, save it. I'm making this to document how to build an ancestor altar, so there are no more questions on how to do this very important ritual. So as you see, I'm starting out with an empty table. And I like to start out by putting the elements on there, something representing fire, water, earth, and air. Then you put your ancestor items on there. So I'm going to quickly go through it, just follow along. So first off, like I said, we have our empty table. Try to have something natural like wood or metal. And I'm going to start something representing earth, which are crystals and stones. You want a glass of water. Incense, representing air, and then a candle, obviously representing fire. Now for your ancestors, you want to put pictures up. And I'm only going to put one up for the sake of keeping everything simple. But if you have more pictures, you can put a lot of pictures up. Another thing, if you do not know who your ancestors were, if you don't have any pictures or names, you can put a plant or a bonsai tree representing your family tree. So this will cover most of your family that you do not know if you don't know their names or something like that. You can also write their name on a piece of paper or write it in a book. Put all the names of the ancestors that you know that you can remember, or ask some people in your family of some ancestors' names, and you can put their name in a book or write it on a piece of paper. You can also put the last name if you don't know anybody's first name. My last name is Myers, so I can put the Myers family in there. On my father's side, it's Stone, so I can put Stone family in there. So you can write down their names on a piece of paper or in a book. You can also lay down an altar cloth. Should have put it first, but y'all get the point. So now pretty much we have a whole setup for an ancestor altar. Now what you want to do is put items on the altar that the ancestors were attracted to while they were in the physical. So say you had an uncle who liked to drink a lot. Put his favorite alcohol on the altar. Say you had a grandmother who liked to wear perfume. Put her perfume on the altar. Say you had a grandfather who liked to smoke. Throw a cigarette on the altar. And any other items that you can think of, books. If you had an aunt that liked to write, put a pen on there. If you had someone like to type, put a piece of blank copy paper on there. Just use your imagination. Whatever they liked and were attracted to, throw it on their altar. And once again, this is a working space, so you can put something on there a month later or a year later. The important thing is just to start. So if you follow my work, you know I'm big on ancestor money. So I recommend having some sort of cauldron or something you can burn ancestor money in. If you're not familiar with ancestor money, Joss Paper, L9shop.com, and also we have information on silemyers.com. I'm talking about the ancestor money. So I'm going to take you through that. Here's the lid for the ancestor money.
Okay, family, for the record, the ancestor money is really more so an Asian thing. Okay, so I want to be clear on that. That's up to you if you want to do that. I personally stick with the African way of doing things. Again, we just wanted to give you just a beginner's start, if you will, in regards to how to set up your ancestor altar. Okay, to back it up, what you normally do for our side is put a white cloth on the table. Okay, put a white cloth on the table. All right. Now, if you want to put a stone on there, that's up to you, but it's not mandatory. Again, whatever ethnicity you find out that you are, say for instance you Zulu. For me, I'm Mende, and I'm Akele. You know, you find someone again that is a part of that ethnicity that's been raised in the culture, and they're the ones that should be guiding you. Okay, as for me and my culture is Poto for men for the initiation, right? For the women, it's called Sandy, right? So you should be getting with somebody like, for instance, for myself, I have a mentor that actually lives in Sierra Leone who actually helped me get my name, took me before the elders and everything. Okay, I followed the custom and what have you. And that's how I got my name. I didn't name myself. My elders named me. They consulted the ancestors. Okay, and then I got my name. You understand? You know, so it's up to you to find that out. I highly recommend that you do African ancestry. My wife, if she remembers, she could tell you the other one, because I always forget what the other one is, where you can upload your DNA results. If you did Ancestry DNA or like 23andMe, okay, you could upload them to this particular site, and it'll give you a more in-depth, if you will, expansion of your bloodline. African ancestry DNA test, what it does is it gives you the exact tribe you come from for some of us, because like they'll tell some people they come from a Akan. Well, that it's a subgroups that fall under the Akan. For instance, like the Fanti and the Asante. You see what I'm saying? But that's just, you know, another story. You just want to dig in and find out exactly where you come from, because then you get in touch with your spirituality. Like if you're Yoruba, then it's E5. Well, my wife and I, we found out that a part of our bloodline, some of our ancestors did marry amongst the Yoruba people. You understand what I'm saying? So this actual practice, just like we found out we're Nubian. So these actual practices, us acknowledging the Neteru, us acknowledging the Orisha, okay, it's actually a part of our bloodline. Okay, so these are actually ancient practices of our ancestors. And dealing with Ifa, okay, you deal with Iwa Pele, which is good character, okay, gentle character rather, and Iwa Riri, which you're dealing with good character. Now, why am I pointing these things out? It's because we're taught that it's evil, but yet I just told you that we're taught to practice good and gentle character. This is the reason why you need to study for yourself. Don't just take other people's word for it. I know you were raised in church to think a certain way. My wife and I likewise. We were trained the same way some of you thinking right now. Okay, but the truth of the matter is not demonic. We don't do human sacrifice. Okay, for Ifa they do sacrifice animals. Now, I just have a question though, because some of you, you know, you got a problem with animal sacrifice, but yet you eat meat. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, you got a problem with animal sacrifice, but you eat cows, you eat beef, you eat pig. Okay, the animal is slayed. Some of you say, "Oh, I'm eating that to stay alive." Well, I've been a vegan for about 7 years now, and I'm still alive. Okay.
Yeah, it's only
not to say that you need to be vegan. I just want to be clear, because I know some people's diet requires certain things. So let me be clear. I'm just making a point. Also, for those of you who read the Bible, in the Old Testament, remember they had priests and high priests. Well, in our culture, we have priests and we have high priests. We have priestesses. You understand? And in the Bible, they amongst the Hebrew culture, all right, because you got to remember that's a Hebrew, and this is the reason why I'm telling you this. It's important for you to understand that Christianity, contrary to popular belief, is not a Hebrew faith. It is not a Hebrew faith. Okay?
Somebody had to say it.
In the New Testament, it is more so a Greek influence. And you know it by the language. Apostle is Greek, bishop is Greek, pastor is Latin. Okay, deacon is Greek, evangelist is Greek. Okay, so Jesus. So when you start getting into the language, you start seeing within the language itself that it's not African. Now, some people may say Christianity started over in Ethiopia. Listen, what you have to do is you have to find out when Christianity, remember, Christianity was created. All spiritual systems were created, period. So that means that people lived a certain way before these things was created. So you got to go back to the beginning. Predated Christianity. What did they do prior to it being introduced to them? Contrary to popular belief, it was brought into Africa. It was brought into Ethiopia, okay? Because of the way the practice is about a savior, you know, things of this nature, and you could just go to this God and ask for forgiveness for your wrong. That's not African. That don't exist in Ifa. That don't exist in voodoo. That don't exist in hoodoo. All these things that we're taught was evil and wicked, Those things don't even exist. That does not exist. You know what? You reap what you sow. It's whatever you do, it's coming back on you. That's the African way. Not this religious stuff that we learned from Christianity. It's none of this sacrificing for somebody to sacrifice for your sins and blood was shed for all the wrongs in the world. No, if you do wrong and you don't rectify it, okay, if you don't fix it, ask for forgiveness, go back, apologize, whatever you need to do to fix it, you're going to reap it. Okay?
Yes, and if I may interject here, and that's real good. Your what we call sins, your mistakes, and your traumatic experiences can go down to generations. So it would behoove you to walk in Iwa or follow the laws of Mayat or the principles of Mayat, because these things that you do that you think you're getting away with, that they say that you can go and get forgiveness for, it can go down generation to generation to generation.
Absolutely. And so, family, we just wanted to give you a brief study on this evening. We're going to be picking back up on the series on next week. My wife, she's going to have whatever subject matter is going to be on next week. Again, these services we hold every Sunday and every Thursday, okay? What I like to do is to prove to you. Okay, some people, I don't got nothing I do. I got a whole lot to prove. You understand what I'm saying? Because in order for people to see the lies, you got to show them that it's lies. And that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Okay, we're not throwing shots at anybody personally. Okay, but what we're doing is it's a war, because there's an attack, an all-out attack. And we're hearing people talk about, oh, these woke people these days. Okay, so if you coming for us, now it's on. Okay, this is spiritual warfare. I'm not going to fight you with my fist, but I am going to throw down with you with this information. Okay, because nobody has yet to prove to us that we were Christians before we came over here on those ships. No one can find a Bible in the Mende language prior to, colonization. Nobody can find it in the Akan language, the Zulu language, okay? The Nubian tongue, okay? You can't find not one book, the Yoruba tongue. You can't find it nowhere, because majority of us came from West Africa. Let's be clear. You want to keep trying to pull from East Africa, but we came from West Africa. Now, people could talk about we migrated from East Africa. Okay, that's fine. But what is your ethnicity? What is your ethnicity? Historically, what happened? How did that text get into the hands of our people? Okay? We have to detach ourselves emotionally from what has occurred to us, okay, and just be real about it. You understand? You have to. I know that grandma may have been a Christian. You say, my ancestors were Christian. Okay, but how did they become that? How did they become that? They didn't come over here that. So how did that happen? Now, if you don't feel like nothing happened, then I have a question for you, and this is just to leave on this note. Why do you speak English? Why don't you know exactly what ethnic group you came from? Why don't your grandmama know? Why don't your great grandmama know? Why don't your uncles know? Why don't your great aunties and uncles know? Why is that? And I'm talking about, this is for those of us whose ancestors, okay, were cut off from our culture and they didn't preserve it. They didn't secretly preserve it like they did down in Brazil. Okay? Santeria. Okay, or like the Gullah Geechees in South Carolina and Florida and Georgia and Alabama, which my wife and I are, where our ancestors preserved the cultures and hid these things and kept it in the family secretly. Some of us are not that blessed and fortunate. So you have to be honest with yourself, and it's time for you to stop running from the truth and face the reality that there has been a job done on you. And there has been a job done on us collectively. And it's time for us to face the reality that we think like the one who colonized us, okay? And we've been brainwashed.
And I want to add something too, as you get towards the, okay, I'll just go ahead now. Mm-hmm. Yes, sweetheart.
You good?
Okay, good. You know, as you were showing the videos and things of that nature, I began to, take a couple notes. And last week we spoke about, the efforts of the colonizer to stop the gathering, right? And as we looked at in the village, there was a gathering, there was some camaraderie. You see, where there's unity, there is strength. And they gathered around these individuals who were doing things of a spiritual nature, and it just strikes me that we as, Africans or Africans in America, what have you, the majority of what we do is spiritual. Who would say that breakdancing was from a spiritual nature? You know what I'm saying? If you didn't know better, we would think we were just dancing. But our ancestors knew that that was something spiritual. Right? Singing, spiritual, coming up out of our soul and bringing out through our throat chakra and letting that energy go out in the atmosphere. That's spiritual. A lot of the things that we have done, that we do as individual, they say that we're magical. And it's why? Because we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings, and our DNA allows us to project that. And like we say, we don't know why we're doing certain things, but it's because of who we are. It's because of our DNA. Now, this week, again, as I begin to go out in those YouTube streets and the social media streets, I've come across so much disturbing information, and I believe from what I'm seeing from some of these different groups is that they are ashamed of our ancestors. Now, if you are ashamed of your ancestors, or if you're unlearned, you know what I'm saying, you need to check yourself, especially before you go and you start saying different things that you don't know about. So I'm wondering, with this being ashamed, is it associated with self-help, hate? Do you know yourself? You understand what I'm saying? Those are our ancestors. Nobody, just like with my mama, nobody can't tell me nothing about my mama. I know my mama, you know what I'm saying? She is what she is. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can come to me and tell me anything that's going to make me ashamed of my family. So I was listening to one young lady, and Bakri, sweetheart, I'm gonna go on for a minute. I was listening to one young lady, and she began to project some of the things that the colonizer had told her. She's in Nigeria, people. Now, just because somebody say that they're in Nigeria, they're on the motherland, that does not mean that they grew up in the African spiritual way. That does not mean that they were not colonized. They're thinking and acting just what the colonizer put inside of them. And they're speaking of a spiritual system that they really, I know they say people around them do it or whatever, but they don't have any, some of them do not have any experience in that area. Some of them, especially if they've been Christian since birth. You see what I'm saying? But I just want to tell you that whether you want to believe it or not, the spirit realm is real. Whether you want to say, oh, it's spooky to do this, you don't have to do anything. And it's still, the spirit realm is still going to be what it is. I heard one verse say, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty. And it is up to you. It will behoove you to find out what your weapons are. If you have angels, if you have spiritual guides, if you have ancestors, you have the Almighty God, or whatever you call it, the Neter. You see what I'm saying? The Neteru, whatever it is. You have those things at your arsenal. When they tell you to turn your cheek and let them slap you over here, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're going into our divine toolbox. We're going into our divine arsenal and pulling out those weapons that are not carnal. This is a spirit battle. You fight spirit with spirit. You see what I'm saying? And to know your ancestors, to know how to pray, to know who you're connecting with, to know about nature, and to know the Neter, the divine God, Oladumare, or whoever, you know what I'm saying, whatever you call, to know where you are spiritually, to build yourself up spiritually. This is where we're fighting. You see what I'm saying? We have been led astray. We have been led towards something that is not beneficial to us in our elevation. So we know where the weapon, we know where the war is. So it's up to us that are on the battlefield, that been called to this particular journey, to get in line, contact, pray, speak in the spirit, or whatever you do to get your divine assignment. You understand what I'm saying? This is something that you can do in the privacy of your own home, in your own room. Everybody don't have to know, because trust me, the minute you let the cat out of the bag, they'll burn you at the stake. They'll try to pretend like something spooky going on. But anyways, I also want to say that as I stated before, and as my king stated before, you have to have good character. You have to live right. You understand me? Even as an intercessor, back when I was an intercessor, we had to walk a thin line when we're talking about battling in the realm of the spirit. We couldn't be slipping and sliding, dutching and dodging and all this and think nobody knows. The universe knows. God knows. The spirits knows. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to be talking about probably for the next couple of weeks. You want to fight this battle. You want to be a part of a spiritual system that wants to elevate you. You got to live right. And so we're going to be talking about Mayat and Iwa Pele, Iwa Riri on our next class on next week. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear all this stuff. I'm sorry. Our ancestors, it did not compute that you can go and do what you want to and then talk about you getting forgiven. I'm sorry. Somebody gonna pay. Somebody gonna pay. Whether it go down your bloodline, somebody gonna pay. So we're gonna talk about that. So thank you for the space, honey. And that's that.
Wonderful. Well said. And we thank you all for tuning in, family. Again, we have to just keep it real. Okay. This is about love. This is love teaching now. This is not hate teaching. If you stick around, you will never hear us teach about hate. That's not Iwa Pele. That's not Iwa Riri. It's not. And this is the reason why we have to teach these things, because for some reason, people think that because you have abandoned religion, you have abandoned morality. Some of you proclaim to be Kemetic followers, okay? I'm going to challenge you. How is that Mayat? How is that Mayat? We have to get in line. Because, see, just like a vehicle, when it doesn't have an alignment, it swerves. It in other words, you walk a crooked path. You understand? But when you align your life up with the principles, you walk the straight and narrow. So for those of you who are truly doing a deep dive and truly are trying to get connected with who and what you are, you will come to find that Mayat is principles that you govern your life by, which are moral principles that give you a moral foundation for you to be an upright person, a good person. Okay? Nobody's saying that you shouldn't be angry about what has happened. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't be angry about what is happening. Keep in mind, you must still have morality in the forefront of your mind. And you still must war like a moral soldier. We still must watch what we say and do, both of which are a reflection of our character.
And how we treat each other.
Absolutely. That is a fact. And it's not just about what you're doing in the presence of people. It's about also out of the presence of people, outside of the cameras, okay, outside of the stages, okay, from behind the mic, okay? How are you living your life? How are you treating your wife? How are you treating your husband? How are you treating your children? How are you treating your parents? How are you treating your fellow man? And contrary to popular belief, it doesn't matter what skin color somebody is, you're still supposed to walk in love. You understand? And there's a lot of us don't want to hear that. That means that you're not really serious then about being a person that follow that deal spirituality. Because our spirituality don't tell us to do that. It doesn't tell us to do that. Just like the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, paraphrasing, you don't judge somebody according to their skin. You judge them by their what? Character. Because just because somebody look like you doesn't mean that they have your best interests at heart. And just because they don't look like you don't mean that they don't have your best interests at heart. You know what tells me that? It's called experience in life. Experience. Experience in life shows me exactly what I just said. So I follow after wisdom. Not your feelings, not your emotions, not, well, all of them, they the same. And if a war break out, they gonna side. I'm not talking about that.
Sure.
and let me just keep it real. You don't know what they're gonna do. You just assuming what somebody's gonna do. You understand? Just like Robert E. Lee, his grandson is fighting against racism. You know his granddaddy turning over in the grave, right? His grandson is fighting against racism. His ancestor was a racist, but he not. I'm just saying. So some folk may get mad at that. Oh, they love. Well, you know what, brother and sister? You the one that got to work with your character. You the one that got to work on your mindset. You the one that got to correct the error of your ways. I'm going to live my life right like I know I'm supposed to. And it don't have nothing to do with a fear of hell either, because I don't even believe in that. That's a state of mind.
You know what? If I can interject,
Sure.
I commend Robert E. Lee grandson for doing what he did, because you know what? He said, look, this nastiness is not going down another generation, right? He decided to make a conscious effort to say, next generation, it's not going to happen. The buck stops right here. And some of the things that we have going down in our generational, in our bloodline, we don't even know that this happened or what the issue is. This is why you got to get into the prayer and meditation and reaching out so that you can know exactly what you need to do. So I'm gonna let that go, because we're gonna speak again on next week.
Okay, family. So we just wanted to, share that. That's the reason why you don't hear my wife and I speak bitterly. Okay. It's because we know what happened. It bothered us too about what happened. But you still have to have Iwa Pele. You understand? And you still must be a person of Ma'at and judge a person according to their character. And this is the reason why we teaching these things, because so many people, you know, they're so bitter that they're attacking their brother and their sister. They're so bitter, they're so angry about what happened. You confused, you don't know who and what you're full of anger. You're upset about your financial situation. You're upset about what happened to us due to colonization. You know, we get it, we understand it. That's still not a good reason to be walking around here attacking people. This is the reason why you got to get a heart that's light like a feather, like Mayat teaches us. You still have to create in you a clean heart and renew within you the right spirit. You understand? So you got to walk around and you got to be mentally stable to be able to create a stable village, a stable family. And if you're not stable in your mind, then you won't have a stable life. That means you can't create a stable family. That means that you can't create a stable nation. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Okay, we're getting ready to tune out. Remember, every Thursday and Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, that's 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're live and direct on the set. Peace.